Hello, welcome back to the LCS Challengers League. The reason why Mazel is sighing over there and rubbing his head is because right before we went live, Beatdown decided he was going to slap his face a couple times.
What?
great.
You can't prove that.
I can. I recorded the whole thing.
Jay, pull up the recording.
Yeah. And we've got
That would
this
actually
update.
be like caught in 4K. Like, oh my god,
We're
that'd mess me
live,
up.
we do
actually.
have-
we do
4K.
have this live in 4K moment, so don't worry. But also speaking of things that we have live, we have a live update on the tiebreaker scenario. I
In
talked about it
4K.
before. Once we saw that IMTC won that first game, that last one you see grayed out was out the window.
Yeah, so this one's done with. Now, the only other tiebreakers that we have to deal with will be determined by the last series on the path to LCS. Again, it will be Golden Guardians Challengers versus Wildcard. And basically, someone needs to 2-0.
Right.
Otherwise, we got a tiebreaker.
I mean, technically, when you think
Two
about it, the
tiebreakers.
probability is like 33% that it's only going to be a 1-1 because either you get a 2-0, a 1-1, or a 0-2.
That only works if you're like rolling a dice.
I don't think
yeah,
that's how
there
that
are a
works.
lot of other factors to take
Man,
in here.
I don't know.
What they say, don't do live.
No,
math
you
on
don't.
here.
That's why I'm telling you.
No,
Alex. It's okay.
it's probability speaking. I'm just saying, if you take the human element out of it, and the actual gameplay, it's just
if you put AIs.
No, I'm slapping myself in the face. I don't know anymore.
Yeah, he's like, wake me up,
Alright.
wake me up.
That's fine. You know what? Let's move past this one. Enough live maths. Let's get into live analysis on our players that we have, the teams that we got. Because our second series is TSM Challengers versus Evil Geniuses Challengers. Both teams have been struggling throughout the split. Both of them on the latter half of the standings. And when we look at them, pound for pound, you know, they have solid talent on each side. Like, let's look at TSM Challengers first. Let's look at that roster, Mazel, and kind of talk about why this team on paper is really strong.
Well, something we always come into the conversation with is the veterancy on this roster. Obviously, with the newer pieces of Doxa and Dragku, and a new piece but a veteran in his own right, Neo. I think we're really starting to see this team at least try to come together to some extent and find those strengths still through Svenskeren and Doxa coming into his own, but Neo really popping off in his last series as well. Get the penta, but he's still lost. But you do see some of that strength at least shining through for TSM, and they're going to need to rely on some of that veterancy, some of that experience to make a run if they want to in the playoffs.
Now, if I had a nickel for every time a player got a pentakill in an Academy/Challengers League broadcast,
two.
I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's just weird that it happened twice. So it was definitely unfortunate. You know, they dropped that one. And now let's shift the attention over to Evil Geniuses Challengers, a team, again, that has had some unfortunate aspects about them. The fact that they had to play with Robbie Bob for a while. Or Robbie Bob actually fit pretty well, but then bringing in Ryoma, the person who was originally contracted, but lacking King. Still having mobility on the team. And I'm not trying to talk bad on mobility. I think he's still playing very well for someone who has no competitive history on this level.
We actually
Right.
got to, really quick, sorry, we got to talk to him yesterday. He's actually super hyped about this matchup right now. I think it's interesting to see his kind of confidence coming into it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Evil Geniuses overall, definitely some highs and lows, but a lot of highs. The Shaden being that player that we talk about a lot too on this roster, being that player who this roster was built for, has shown us a lot of highs, and mobility as a player has improved a lot too. This is a team where, I mean, we keep using the analogy riding the ship because we're going into playoffs now, and these last couple of games are important. You know, you learn a couple of things. We get an idea of what team's form is going to look like going into those later stages, into the postseason.
Yeah, and you got to see a lot of the good moments. Like I said, I think mobility has been playing very well, especially like you look at yesterday. Even if the second game was very scrappy, he was positioning really well in a lot of those team fights. Even the game they lost, that first game where it was a little bit more one-sided towards AoE, you see these moments that EGC have, and they got to continue to bring that, especially because they're facing off against TSM Challengers, a team that when we look at them and how they've been performing, you talked about Neo getting the pentakill, but Hotzer has been one of the big standout performers. Every time we talk about this team and look at this roster, this is the guy that we always have to focus on.
100%. I mean, Haunter's one of the best top laners we have in the league. Honestly, even though this is a struggling TSM Challengers, he's always this bright spot, putting in these, finding these natural advantages in the laning phase, in the one-on-one, and he's always the one putting on a lot of these big performances in TSM Challengers victories. So I mean, it makes sense. He's a player that we want to be focusing on. We keep talking about him because earlier during the previous series, we were talking about how veterans aren't just here. Like, this isn't just a whole paycheck thing. All these guys have a lot of these guys have said to us how they want to get back to the LCS, and this is how you do it. This is the way you make your way back up, and they're trying to do that climb.
Yeah, it's still a climb though, right? You're having a lot of new talent that's been showing up, a lot of rookies, even some players that have more experience. We talked to Fake God, and why it was interesting talking to him, and seeing his story and growth over this year. Hotzer on a very similar trajectory, because he is definitely looking really good. But I want to kind of also bring the conversation on to Doxa, a player that is very new to the scene, you know, playing in collegiate, played a little bit in amateur as well. This has been a big stepping stone for him to try to get that experience, learn a lot. And if you compare Doxa to day one here in the NACL to now, he has grown a lot. And so that's why I want to always temper expectations when it comes to like just writing off Doxa, because I think he's doing much better and constantly getting to that form, the Doxa diff that Deathstroke's always like to talk about at the beginning.
I think especially when you look at how they've been opting into giving him some more strength matchups where he's getting a lot of skill expression in those, he's going to have a tough test against Ryoma today, though.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a big 100%. One because Shaden, he was the guy that a lot of people have talked about. I know Cubby loves talking about why this player is really good. But Ryoma, since he's stepped in, has been getting a lot more of the attention, a lot more of the gold for the team. And this is where it will really make or break this mid lane matchup. But make sure, if you're in chat, you're just spamming either TSMC or EGC. Let us know which team you think is going to win this one. I'm going to let you two take it away, because I am going to go sit down. My legs are still tired from the bicycle ride.
Bye, Magical. We're going to get kicked off with game number 2 of our day. TSM Challengers versus Evil Geniuses Challengers. I think a lot riding on pride for these two teams coming to this one, if let alone seeding. We'll see TSM Challengers on this blue side ban away the Sejuani, that Viego as well, targeting some of Shaden's picks, and the Ashe banned away by Evil Geniuses.
Right, and these two teams, again, it's really important for them to kind of start to show that upwards trajectory going into playoffs here. I mean, again, Evil Geniuses, they don't have the full roster they were hoping for. Still waiting to see when King is going to show up. But it's true. Like, we talked to Mobility yesterday. We've been watching him all split. I've watched him in Champs Queue. He is improving a lot, and he's taken a lot of this experience to heart. He even recognizes how tough of a climb it's been for him since his first week when he was really struggling. But it's a great thing to see that, you know, he's acknowledged it, he's moved past it, and it's a great chance for him to show off for when King does go and we say goodbye to Mobility. Maybe he joins another team.
And it is so interesting, kind of the duality of the bot lanes. We'll get to the picks in just a little bit, but like you have the veteran seat, Neo, obviously a long-standing member, Smoothie in the professional seat as well. But then you have these kind of upstarts of Mobility and Dragku. We even got to talk to Dragku yesterday and just hearing a little bit about how he's trying to mesh with a little bit of the carousel going on at TSM and find improvement in his own right. See if that actually has come to a head here for him in the final day of the regular season. Now we get the Xayah first pick for TSM, and it is the Zeri response.
It's a lot of the usual suspects going so far in the current metagame. I mean, Zeri, despite Lucian Nami falling off, despite what Lost and Zaza will tell you about it, Zeri still won't get pushed out just yet. Haven't been seeing as much of Felios, and Mobility is just going to keep on running that champion. And it's going to be the Gragas too. Again, big flex, strong champ, came pretty much out of nowhere, which is crazy.
I always love it. You can provide so much spacing in the team fights, but as well as the AP builds, things like that, you get a lot of damage in your own right. I expect this to be the lock-in for TSM. Get that duo in the bot lane, the Lovers duo, that is. As now it is looking at their third pick, the final pick of the first phase, and something for Svenskeren to facilitate the rest of his team. Oh, no,
so it's actually going to be... Okay, so it's going to be Doxa on the Annie. And this is good, too, because yesterday... giving Doxa these kinds of champions, like you were touching on him, Mazel, where he can have good matchups and also a lot of setup for the team overall. He had a lot of good engages yesterday, even in the games that they lost, so he has another opportunity to do the same thing. Only problem is that you might see more junglers taken out of the picture. I mean, already so many have been banned. But so Svenskeren really needs to go to some kind of enabler. And I mean, like, Viego's gone, Sejuani's gone, Gragas is off the table. What has Svenskeren got?
We're going to see some pinching, I'm sure, to continue here. Obviously, the Olaf being a little bit of a strength in the second phase, I feel like, for TSM. And a lot of strength from TSM coming from the duo of Svenskeren and Hanser in the top side of the map. And we've seen that kind of bend and break a little bit here in the later parts and trying to adapt to what the meta is giving you. But it is still that focus towards Hanser in the Scion as the final ban for EGC.
Right, just removing a power pick, a tank pick, just the usual stuff.
Usual suspects, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Nice analogy, Lennon. I like that. And now we just have that last pick. It's going to be the Graves coming through. I mean, it's the Shaden special. So it makes a lot of sense.
You're just 4 bans towards Shaden, by the way.
Yeah, and okay, that's what I'm talking about. I like it as the response to the Annie. I mean, the biggest reason is when you have that event horizon, great zone control. Recently on this patch, well, people haven't really been talking about, he's got a minor buff where you got 50 range on his Q, 50 range on his W. So it is making it a little easier for you to stay outside of Annie's effective range, when you're trying to trade, when you're trying to farm, and everything like that. And the zone control is still
I will also, speaking of zone control, they were just opting into that holistically. We've been seeing it in the LPL, picked up in the Gragas and the Vygar combo, because you lay down that event horizon, you throw a cask in there,
yeah,
you just have everybody spreading out. I was theory crafting some like space skin for Gragas where he has like a black hole in the middle, and it all works out with the event horizon. But I'm very excited to see the execution level for Evil Geniuses here, as they have drafted themselves that kind of duo in the mid and jungle, but a bit of insurance in the bot lane. It's the Renekton and the Lee Sin locked in here for TSM Challengers.
Oh, the Poppy for Shaden. Oh, I really like the hover there, but it's gonna more than likely be the Poppy. I mean, we've been asking Shaden to bring the Poppy back. Come on, guys. Poppy.
He's just gonna wait for it.
Nah, man. Unless Vision somehow ended up on the other team, there's no way, right? Oh,
all right.
okay.
It will be the Shaden Gragas here as the Gnar gets locked in for Soul, and a team fight comp to a T itself here for Evil Geniuses.
And I like it. This is what I was talking about during pregame, between matches. These front-to-back comps, especially for struggling teams, they're very easy for you to be able to lean on. I mean, you got Zeri Lulu, you have the mid jungle that you were highlighting, Lennon, that we've seen in the LPL, and it's just perfect front to back. And for TSM, you have early game power, especially because you can still make plays off the anti-stun, the recon engage, and everything like that. And the top side is where a lot of that power is too. You got Renekton Lee Sin, you're trying to fight, you're going to dive this Gnar. I'm already seeing it. Level 3, the 3-wave crash, everything like that, just to put Soul in the dirt in the early game. But if you don't do things like that, you fall behind.
It's going to be a little bit more difficult. Those catch-outs are going to have to be even more important, but I'm definitely putting all eyes on Svenskeren and Hanser in this early game. That duo needs to work if TSM want to close out this season strongly. It's our second best of 2 of the day, and the final games for both of these two teams in the regular split. TSM Challengers versus Evil Geniuses Challengers. If you want to get involved in that conversation, make sure you're spamming in chat who you think is going to take this dub.
That's right.
TSMC for TSM and EGC for Evil Geniuses.
All right, Lennon, we're going to play a game. And when I say we, I mean the game is with Shaden. And it's a game I like to call Do You Know Your Matchup? Because I've seen this story so many times. Renekton, Lee Sin, Gnar topside, and the jungler just ignores them at the 3-minute mark. So, Shaden, do you know the matchup? That is my question for you.
So you're about to sing
he needs
something
to be
along the variation of Do You Know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man.
Yes, I know the Muffin Man.
You got to keep going. The one that lives in Drury Lane.
Yeah.
I thought we had the synergy
she's
beat that.
married to the Muffin Man.
Oh
I know.
God.
I can't remember who says what. It's been a while since I've seen Shrek. You know how it goes.
We had all season to work on this. We come into the last.
It's okay. We still have playoffs, Lennon. We can fix this.
We can fix this. But we do want to see as the opposite side starts for both junglers here. We want to see at least where the pathing is going and keeping an eye on Svenskeren on the Lee Sin, but also Shaden with maybe a little bit of reactivity if Svenskeren gets aggressive early.
Please. I mean, Shaden is looking like he's full clearing top. So by the time that's done, Svenskeren, if he's okay, so it is the full clear. Not maybe looking for that just immediate 3 camp into top dive, but it's still something you got to be careful of and something I'm expecting. Like Hanser, you can see him walking out, trying to zone Soul off so he can stack this way. Like, that's going to be a big power point. And this is what TSM need to do this early game, right? They need to keep it going. You have this Lee Sin, who's honestly, like, later on into the game, is going to struggle when that Event Horizon cooldown starts to get lower.
Got to keep an eye out on those big cooldowns, but also the big setup. Also, love that we're getting a lot of influence from the St. Patty's Day skins in League of Legends, at least this weekend. You got Ryoma rocking the Leprechaun skin as well for the Vigor.
Shamrock Malphite yesterday from Bradley.
Malphite, Bradley. We got a little bit of fun here, but it is maybe even Shaden, after having cleared that top side of the map, just going to go for that full clear on his side and wait for Svenskeren to kind of get active, and a bit of a slow, steady start to the early game here.
And you know what? We have our answer. Shaden has won the game due to your matchup. He showed up top.
He did it
around the just before the 3-minute mark, just to make sure nothing was going on there. And it's looking like Svenskeren's not actually going to go for that. So, good job, Shaden. You did it. That's what I like to see. I'm sorry, Len. I've seen so many junglers avoid it. It's just like...
Yeah, do you have something you want to talk about? Like, is there
no, it's okay. You know what's funny? LFL was a big perpetrator of that last spring, and ooh, it's okay. It's over now. It's in the past.
It's over. You don't have to worry about it.
It can't hurt me anymore.
Oh my God, the synergy's back on point.
We got it.
Look at that.
Let's go.
We're rocking and rolling here. Shaden will be hovering on this bot side, but it's still that trade so far for both sides. We wanted kind of maybe some unique pathing from Svenskeren. Well, so far we're not getting that. It's just going to be the kind of fisticuffs within the lanes.
Yeah, a little fisticuffs with the Scuttle Crab. He's going to go for the Raptors respawn, essentially. And you can see it. Doxa trading pretty well into Ryoma, very mana-hungry champion in those early stages. And yeah, I was going to say, you don't actually do that, right? And things are just going slow right now, Lennon. And yeah, you get that camp steal from Svenskeren, but you need more than that. I need activity. I need ganks. Showing up mid lane, that's cool. Now show up top, bot, something.
Yeah. I think one of the most interesting conversations when we were at least looking at Evil Geniuses here, we did have the change up in mid lane in the season, right? We are not, unknowing of a lot of the changes we've had throughout the entire league of NACL, but this was a pivotal change for EG. It felt like it completely changed their playstyle, giving a lot more resources towards Ryoma and changing some of that, what we saw early in the season where Shaden was getting these incredible KDAs. We haven't necessarily gotten that as much.
Right, because even though we gave props to them for making it work, that's not where the meta is. So now you have this mid-jungle duo that can use resources really well. You have Ryoma, who's shown us a lot of great plays, as he is a playmaker that we've all seen throughout the scene for these last few years. Now it's opened up more options for Evil Geniuses to play pretty much what everyone else is playing, which is that kind of carry through bot side style there. Mobility coming into his own really facilitates that one as well. And oh-ho.
Neo caught without his lover's duo in a little bit of trouble there. Some speed up potential. Now can't get the at least the rest of the damage. Mobility putting some pressure on the Neo. As Dragon actually started up by EG.
I mean, Neo's got a... Oh no, Neo's actually going to stay. This is what I'm talking about.
Mobility has the jump across the wall, so can't get back to the 3.
Yeah, Doxa is level 6 as well. And this early spike favors TSM, so of course Neo staying is a good call because you can... I mean, Svenskeren can fight if he wants to. Does have the double longsword, which actually, oh no, he's building Caulfields. For a second, I thought it was like lethality, Lee Sin. I juked myself. It's okay.
Don't break your own ankles, beat down.
That's right. I only do that when I play basketball.
There you go. There you go. Did you actually break your ankles? Oh,
no, not literally.
Crocodile, my man. That's a flash baited out by Soul.
So the one thing that is good is that Soul's managed to, he hasn't fallen far behind. He's managed to hold on to his teleport for those early minutes, so he can just back and come right back to lane. And now that he has those tier 2 boots, I mean, the most dangerous parts of playing Gnar are past. Those first few levels are terrifying, especially into something like a Renekton. And considering what Hauntzer's been able to do to other top laners all split long, I mean, props on Soul for making it here.
Yeah.
And of course, still a point of power, still going to be able to contest push on top side, which is why I'm expecting TSM let go of this dragon, set up for a mid play, set up for Rift Herald. That's how you snowball this game.
Looks like they don't want that here. They said, no, we want the smoke. don't know if they can actually, EG can actually contest this at this point. I mean, it's 4v3 with a bit of a roam possible from Ryoma. Shaden wanting to contest this one. About 1,500 health. TSM.
Wow,
We're not going to get the 50-50. They move in and execute. That'll be a dragon going over to TSM Challengers.
Nice. They stalled them off it before, and it set them up. They gave them time when Neo had low HP before. Now he's in a position where he could actually contest. EGC had no choice but to back off. And that's why you see Soul walking down, setting up some vision alongside what Ryoma is placed, because now their Rift Herald is the next objective everyone's looking for. TSM, of course, have that in their favor, because now you look at the strength of their top side. A lot of skirmishing power there.
I do wonder, when we were having that conversation about the kind of veterancy coming to this one, both teams having a lot of that with them, right? In terms of Ryoma, Smoothie for Evil Geniuses, and a majority of members on TSM. Speaking of the veterans,
wow.
though, bot lane, it doesn't come from the veteran. It comes from the engage of Dragku and a double kill to Neo.
That's such a big play from the bot lane of TSM Challengers. Like, we talked about how you need to win early. I mean, they just naturally won the 2v2 outright. 2 kills on the Xayah? Mobility is in so much trouble now. And this is how you start to snowball this game.
That's a heck of a start to a Xayah lane down there for Neo, and we'll see how it all panned out here. Level 6 for mobility, felt confident with it.
Right, and oh, there it is. They had the big wave stacked up, so it was easy for them to set up in the brush. Smoothie, fortunately, walked up just a little
and
too
then
far.
mobility dashed in.
That's what we in the business call unlucky, Lennon.
That's an oopsie whoopsies right there.
Yes.
But we do see TSM kind of capitalizing on that pressure from the bottom lane to take this Rift Herald here, so they will have 100% objective control so far in the game, even if it has been a bit of that quiet roll. You've now got about a 1.3k lead. Maybe EG able to get a little bit of that back with these turret plates bot lane.
I like this from EG. They don't rotate up because they know it's not their Herald to fight for. They actually have Shaden applying pressure on this bottom side, which gave room for mobility and Smoothie to pick up some plate gold, get something back for what they've lost earlier on. And I like that better than trying to flip the Herald, give away a whole bunch of gold, and you end up letting your enemy snowball even worse. It isn't much, but it's honest work, Lennon. As EGC, again, we talk about the later stages of the game, is when they really start to come online, that third Drake fight. And so far, I mean, we got a decent gold lead for TSM, but you're not sweating yet as Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, you're definitely not. I mean, you're still looking at the combos that you have and a lot of the wombo that you'll be bringing behind those combos to have a lot of late game insurance, right? And you have another 2 minutes till another dragon spawns. See if TSM wants to continue stacking that since they did get the first one. But with the first item completion on the board for TSM and a Gale Force for Neo, I actually kind of want to see them put the pressure on bot lane a little bit more. Maybe even try to extend this Xayah early spike to make something more of it.
Right, I mean, do you already have this early Gale Force? And it's big for TSM because we got a dragon coming up very soon. And by that point, Neo's going to have more in his pocket, maybe those tier 2 boots, maybe extra stats elsewhere. The point is, you want to use that power, especially now that Svenskeren and Doxa are level 6. We haven't seen those ults come out in skirmishes or team fights yet, but they are going to be super impactful. So once that comes through, especially around this dragon fight, TSM, they have another win con that they can be playing for. That Dragon Soul, they still have a Herald to drop, setting up a dive somewhere and getting this early plate gold. My eyes are on top, even though Soul has made it out of the danger zone. If him and Hanser can sync up and take him out of the picture, it's a good look.
1v1 between the bot lanes. The slow comes through. Neo getting a little bit low here. He got some help. And Neo with the fast storm and the flame collar. It's both supports that get the kills. ADC's left on the ground bleeding.
That's experience, Lennon. You play that fight on a knife's edge, and you set it up for your support to pick up the kill. Of course, shout out to Smoothie to bring it back, but this confidence is insane. You see the health advantage. When Zeri is ulting, you usually want to run, but he knew Dragku could come show up, and even with all the ults coming through, realistically, the damage was done. It was a nice play.
It was actually a shutdown over to Smoothie. A little bit. Tibbers in mid lane, though. Ryoma in some trouble. That's a flash out. The Event Horizon does lock down Svenskeren, and at least not Svenskeren, but Dragku, as Svenskeren using the safeguard out of that one. We have Dragon coming up now, though. Rift Herald on the board, maybe a bit of a distraction play, but TSM just want vision around this pit.
Yeah, they already lost so much pressure. That was a nice move from Svenskeren. Ryoma had to flash to respect the insect. Otherwise, he would have lost his life. And that means that, I mean, you can see it. They have to use things like the Event Horizon to clear up a tiny bit of vision. But the play just isn't there for Evil Genius Challengers anymore. They got to let it go.
That's the little baby Gnar, and Soul doesn't have any hop, skips, or jumps. He will be able to kite up to his Mega Gnar bar. Be the Rift Herald actually utilized in bottom lane to push for Neo. Get some plates here, and EG want to collapse to respond. Soul, that's a double. Yeah, I don't know if Soul has this. He does get the flash out. Slice and dice, not quick enough.
And nice move from Hanser, always looking for these outplays, and is usually so consistently able to find them. But Soul, again, barely manages to walk away. And I mean, when we talk about natural advantages, it isn't just kills. In most matchups, we find Hanser with like insane CS leads and things like that, Lennon, but that hasn't been the case.
That's the kick. Shane trying to get out with the body slam, but Doxa, that's a flash wild growth over the wall. And it is EG that make it out, but that's Dragon number 2 to TSM.
And that's the angle. That's that power TSM have. They're using it. Even if it doesn't result in a kill, it's good because you get to continue stacking these Drakes. Pretty much, with the exception of that one shutdown going over to Smoothie, which I mean, support, no big deal. Everything is going fantastic for Evil Genius Challengers. They're even going to pressure mobility off as he went, his support went for a recall. And Neo has just been getting a lot of love this game. That recall he's going for is going to be a big one. He's got to be sitting on a lot of gold.
Get a little bit of something back. Actually, just the pickaxe there, I believe, actually coming through. And
that's 25
now,
AD.
Hey, you know, it's a little bit of something back.
Yeah.
And I do see them kind of coming back out here and want to see some more pressure. If they can find any more to give. The Roa obviously getting stacked up for both mid laners. We're getting those first item completions pretty much across the board here for at least TSM. So waiting a couple things for Evil Geniuses. So this may be a point of pressure again that TSM can utilize. And you see Svenskeren actually doing so and pushing up into the game of Shaden a little bit.
And we get to play our favorite game of Count the Stacks whenever we see champions like Cho'Gath, Senna, and Vigar. We got to see what's going on periodically. And of course, 162 stacks coming through here. Oh, sorry, Soul.
Quickness
I'll miss
popped,
you.
and he's trying to stack up as much as he can. Grand entrance there, and that's the kill to Hanser. Hungry Crocodile is getting fed today.
It's going to be first turret goal going over to Hanser. As we so often see it. He's got a big lead now over Soul. They finally managed to break this top lane open. Means that Hanser keeps this wave pushed in. Now they unlock him to move around the map. Continue using this big spike that Hanser is on with the Gore Drinker coming through. And come basically be part of other plays across the map. It's no longer the party in the top lane. So it's a good thing he's not wearing the pool party skin.
But I think that's okay to provide pressure in the silent, because again, we already said Evil Geniuses want to collapse their team comp. They want to get everybody together, and if you are becoming a side point pressure that they have to deal with, well, then that's fine and dandy. Leave the 4v4 and you can just take down the side lane fight.
Yeah, that's true. Evil Geniuses struggling to come together at the moment. Everything TSM have done have gotten them a lead of 3,000 gold. They're about to pick up their second turret. Neo is incredibly strong now, and we're seeing the difference. 1,400 gold when all is said and done here in the laning phase. Neo's very strong, and this is that player we talk about, that veterancy, experience in the LCS. Experience is, I think the thing you pointed out, Lennon, was on the original Optic roster, which I thought was crazy because that was before my time.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to see the path, the journey, but also, again, the veterancy coming through at the right moment, baby, for TSM. And this duo will never get old of Hanser and Fitzgerald. They have been so deadly, so lethal, and Soul will feel that lethality. A 5th kill going over to TSM.
Oh boy, this pressure is really starting to get turned up topside. Soul getting punished for no mega. Oh, Smoothie maybe getting punished.
With the Gale Force forward, though, and doing some serious work. And Theo even dodges out of the cast there.
Wow. TSM, they just keep on looking for plays. You force flash, you force spells out of the members of Evil Genius Challengers. And the wild growth will be back soon, but Smoothie's flash won't be. And in a minute and 30 seconds, that soul point is here for TSM Challengers. that's going to be part of them fulfilling that win condition, being able to get that permanent buff and just snowball their way to a win. They've been checking all the boxes so far, Lennon. It's looking like that's going to continue.
I have indeed. And I'm wondering just how these next points of pressure work. We have a minute and 10 seconds just about for a third dragon for TSM. They have 100% objective control so far. I look to them to continue that, especially with the way the pathing is going to work out. The resets should come in beautiful timing for TSM. And I do wonder if we even get a response from EG at this point. They are scaling, trying to get to that point, and maybe they just let this one go.
You have to. You can't fight this one, barring a great pickoff. You're seeing some good vision here, both offensive and defensive from Evil Geniuses. It will give them that opening to potentially do a little bit of stutter step in, like, oh, someone out of position. Oh, anyone? No kill? Okay, all right, we're going to leave. Bye. And if that kill comes through, EGC slow the dragon stacking. And if it doesn't, you know, they tried. They're going to keep going to farming. Because it's worth noting, Ryoma has reached that second item. In a few minutes, we'll have that Roa fully stacked. Now we're just waiting for mobility to get to item number 2, the Navori Quick Blades, more than likely. And that's when EGC are going to start to be in a position where they can contest these objectives.
Got to see the combo. Shading and Ram. We got to think of a name between the explosive cask.
Explosive Horizon.
Explosive Horizon. I feel like it doesn't give it. Maybe.
No?
Actually, I'm kind of sold. I'm kind of sold.
Kind of feeling it.
We do get double towers going down at the same time. Again, this is what we were talking about. Hanser is a menace in the side lane. There is no answer if you want to try and group as a team for EG and play to your strengths in a team comp, and they're just getting picked apart.
Wow. I really like this call from TSM, actually. They just abandoned the sole point because they know how badly Evil Geniuses needed to prevent it. So they just gave up the space, used that Herald to take 2 turrets. They picked up so much gold off that one play. Even the top side, that pressure from Hanser we were highlighting gets them a tier 2 as well. And wow, TSM firmly in control of this game. They are up several thousands of gold, and it's just in all the right places. Neo has so much, Hanser has so much, and it's now shown in the objective bounties that are coming through.
They're coming back out onto the map. Actually seeing Hanser wait in the bush the whole time, just trying to catch Soul. Eganar does come back up, though, for Soul and has Smoothie right around the corner. Still, though, this Lee in the top lane is starting to get a little bit unhandleable. I don't even know if that's a word, but at this point, Hanser just says it's a word. And Ryoma, you found yourself at the side lane with nothing left for you to get out of with that flash. Does not get it, as Svenskeren kicks him right back to the hungry, hungry jaws of Doxa.
Doxa is going to get his first kill of the game. Just quietly farming up, waiting for his time to shine, Lennon. He's been able to do that. Maybe we can talk about how that's kind of been his split. Svenskeren said he is a player, as someone who's so willing to learn, so willing to listen. He's been getting advice from Hanser a lot about laning and just playing the game in general, and he says he's learned a lot from it. We're starting to see that come through towards this end of this split, bit by bit.
It was so nice to hear from him as well, just kind of working through those growing pains, because it hasn't been an easy ride, right? TSM doesn't have the structure that, say, some other challenger teams do have, right? And it is difficult when you have pieces playing in other parts and you have some of that veterancy that needs to really solidify that. And while we saw some interesting things happen in their last series, especially with the Neo entrance, but it is some of that kind of wild factor that might play to their strengths going into the playoffs.
Yeah, right. That's going to be really crucial. And again, just to what we're talking about is that TSM challengers don't have a coach and they do play remotely. Why we definitely have talked about on more than one occasion how Doxa moved with a friend on the West Coast to be able to be closer to the server so that he can play on good ping. Because as we've seen, it's not fun when you have to play on 100+.
It is not. We're actually seeing TSM move to get a little bit of picks going, potentially in this mid-game. And speaking of picks, Evil Geniuses move on to Neo. Wild Growth tried to come to get the knock-up. Oh my god, Shaden! That's almost so close to a turnaround, and that is some of the strength that this 2.5 item spike for Neo and the Xayah does.
And look what it gets them. Flash from Shaden, no health. They're going to start the Baron. TSM, they're so strong right now. But EGC, they know this is going to be the end.
Oh, the Tibbers play, and Ryoma, he heals up a decent amount there with the shield, but it doesn't matter for long. Fitzcarrot gets the kill mobility. Those lightning shots are just a little bit of electricity, but not enough to make it power up. And EG will try to at least maybe contest this as they think that TSM's just doing the Baron, but they weren't, and the kick comes back.
It was all a bait.
And immediately, everything has gone to rot for Evil Geniuses.
Oh my god, that's 10k up, and now for real, they're gonna start the Baron. And this is where they start to do some real damage to Evil Genius's base. Waves are pushed in, they're gonna have so much gold to spend when they go back to base, and TSM can actually look to close things out very shortly. It's been clean and convincing from this TSM Challenger squad.
Should see them push up the mid lane, maybe even grouping up a little bit as the rest of the items get bought here. We'll see the replay of that fight.
And the big thing there, you know it. When the event horizon is down, the cooldown, even at this point, isn't that short. So the rest of TSM are like, whoa, he dropped the E? Get him.
Hey, and they did.
They got him.
They got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yeah, that's right.
But it is kind of that turnaround here. Big play to set up from Doxa and the rest of the team. And honestly, just the cohesion, communication really coming on the line.
Watching that from the perspective of Evil Geniuses with the fog turned on and everything is so funny because Soul is just like, hey, someone doing Baron, and then you just get jumped by the Avengers. Feels bad, man.
We're going around all of the cinematic universes. I like it.
Yeah.
We do see Siege in mid lane, though, being done by Hanser. Does get that inhib tower. Next wave should mean this bottom side does go down. You still have about 2 minutes on the buff. See if TSM can close this one out.
And we have Magical, it looks like, doing the steady stack summary. I like that, triple S's. Vigar played by Ryoma's at 229 stacks. That's pretty good. That's 220 AP. Problem is, he doesn't get to live long enough most of the time to actually drop that damage. TSM done a really good job playing around that event horizon cooldown. Every time it's down, they instantly punish him.
I'll say the Siege defense from Evil Genius is actually coming out really nicely here. TSM have not been able to break down this and have been whittling down their Baron buff. They only have 1 minute and 15 seconds left. And you think, you know, with a almost 12,000 gold lead, you have a little bit more confidence to move forward. But TSM still pretty hesitant to go into that team fight comp of EG.
They got a lot of shutdowns they don't want to give away. They want to do this nice and slow, nice and clean. And they're going to take 2 inhibitors at the same time. Shaden, though, he's looking.
Oh, Smoothie. Gotta be a little bit careful for that Spin-Scaren engage. The inhib has gone down in mid lane. The inhib in bottom lane soon to follow.
And just like that, the Baron has done its job. 2 waves of supers coming through as TSM will get their soul point. They don't even really need it. If I'm being honest, Leonard, we're at a point where this is one fight territory. One good team fight for TSM, and that's going to be game 1. And what an incredible performance from a team we really thought was struggling these last couple of weeks. I mean, they lost the game to FlyFam yesterday.
And I wonder, especially when you look at the track record for a lot of these members and some of that veterancy we were talking about, how they really find a way to come into their own in this split so far, especially when you're seeing Spin-Scaren and Hanser be such an influential part, I guess, duo to the entire combo. But it really has been that slow progression on making sure communication is sound, making sure Doxa feels confident, comfortable, making sure that the pieces are all working in tandem.
Right. And so far,
Without a coach,
and might need to hold that thought.
Soul,
ZG don't have a soul.
You're exhausted, and I think TSM will capitalize on that whole-handedly. That pick should just signal the end.
They can just walk it down now. Even with one ult out of the picture, one misstep, once that E is down, like that's their window to make something happen. Dragku, he's looking.
We'll see if they can put the finishing touches here. They still have Doxa pushing in topside as a bit of insurance in its own right. Being able to take the final inhib tower here. Rest of TSM moving in to try to take the inhib maybe. The tower is under wraps here from TSM, throwing up some emotes. If they can get one last fight against Evil Geniuses. Oh, there's the flash. Doxa says, let's go. We're partying now. The quickness on the back line from Dragku. And everyone from Evil Geniuses running away. And Spin-Scaren plus Neo. Just too good of a combo. Primordial Burst does get Doxa down, and the defense comes through for Evil Geniuses now. As now Soul actually turned around on. Redemption coming through the horizon. Blade Caller there, and now Neo wants some more mobility, trying to get his own, but it's not enough. Neo's on a killing spree, and here comes Fitzkaren, here comes Hauntzer, and here comes the whole damn TSM team.
And it looks so good for just a moment, but the gold lead shows true, and TSM will dominate game 1 against the Evil Geniuses, a 14-3 finish.
Starting off strong here on the final day are TSM, a 1-0 start at least in this best of 2, and stopping the riding of the ship for Evil Geniuses. There were some positives, but it was not nearly enough. Now we will be spinning a little bit of a break here while we get ready for our halftime bit for Magical. So make sure you come back.